Liverpool utterly destroyed Manchester United 3-0 at Old Trafford to cement themselves firmly in the title race. Now, what has been a very good start to Arne Slot's tenure at the club, Ryan Gravenberch has been one of the main performers so far, discovering his new role. In this video, we're going to go through exactly why he was so good against Manchester United and why he is the future of the midfield for Liverpool. So let's get into it. Since Arne Slot came into Liverpool, it was quite clear that they wanted another defensive midfielder. Endo was good last season, there was definitely limitations to his play, and long term Liverpool wanted a replacement that could come in and play there for a few years. Now, while they tried to sign players such as Zubimendi in the summer, which didn't materialise, they have been forced to play Ryan Gravenberch there, a player that a majority of his career has played as a central midfielder, so he can do some of the defensive work but also can do that attacking role as well. However, this seems to be a masterstroke for Arne Slot so far, and I think he has been Liverpool's best player in their last few games, being a key player against United and Brentford. Now, the first thing to note with his brilliant performance against Manchester United is that although he kind of played as a defensive midfielder, still he was very much high up on the pitch on the average positions. As you can see, it was more McAllister working in a tight area with the players around him deeper, and Gravenberch played off that and went more attacking. This, I think, was due to the amount of pressure that Liverpool put on the defence of Manchester United, and they definitely knew they could get the ball from mistakes from their midfield, which they did. Now, the first thing as well is he was very important in the build-up for Liverpool. While McAllister would come deeper, while they usually would get a man-to-man tracking, especially from Manchester United's midfield, Gravenberch would always find the gaps in between even Xerxes and Kobbie Mainoo, or even the winger Rashford, where he could find that half space and potentially get the ball out to Salah or Trent, who was creating width. There was a few times where he became into these lines and he was able to turn brilliantly in transition with the ball and use his brilliant on-the-ball dribbling ability to actually push the ball forward for Liverpool. In this game, there was many times where he would see space in front of him and he would take it, and he very much took the opportunity every time to go forward as he can. And the ability he has to turn and go past players is so important against the mid-block because it makes it so hard to defend against. As soon as he makes that movement into that gap between the defenders and the midfield, which yet again Manchester United had well open like they did last season, they were not close enough together, he would kept taking that, and I think that's why his average position was a lot higher on the pitch. And now Arne Slot deserves a lot of credit for what I've seen Gravenberch do, but the best thing about him is he's so fluid in his positions. While McAllister is usually going to stick to his left side because that's how he personally likes where the ball is and it's better for his passing opportunities, Gravenberch doesn't really seem to have this sort of bias. He will happily go down anywhere on the pitch in order to pick the ball up and shift the ball out wide, getting into brilliant positions as well. This can mean if Liverpool are trying to build the ball up and Manchester United are pressing them with Xerxes and their attackers, he often can find that gap in between and just ease pressure, getting past the first line of attack for the other team and just shifting the ball out wide, even to the left or right side. And when he was picking up specific positions such as the right wing, as he changed around with Trent, and Trent had his fluid position which was spoken about in another video where he'd come into the middle and sort of find that right half space, Gravenberch did a really good job of picking up the ball, working with Salah, working with McAllister more importantly, where they were always really close together. Gravenberch was very calm on the ball and ended up finding McAllister a lot of the time if he couldn't necessarily find that ball forward. Being patient will always work out in the end. But he wouldn't always do that. He always changed what he wanted to do within the team, and there was many times where to a 1-2 and even one down the wing, in the right wing or the left wing, to help his wing back or his winger there to actually give him some support and give him some width. He's so good at running with the ball that he doesn't really mind doing it anywhere on the pitch, and sometimes he was even forcing the movement. There was a few times where he'd pick the ball up a little bit deeper, see a gap in between the defenders in midfield, and he'd just run into it. Manchester United would have to get 3 or 4 players around him, and in the end he'd end up passing the ball out wide or passing the ball off to his midfielder, and it would just get Liverpool up the pitch, which is so important sometimes in settled possession to get past a team that is defending deep. He is so good against these mid to low blocks where he's always trying to look for a passing solution, where he's very good at it, but he's also very alert and very good at running with the ball as well. However, while his on the ball work was really good, his off the ball work is really what stood out in this game, and I think is what has been standing out for him in that defensive midfielder role. He is so good at sticking to what the tactical plan is, whether that is to shadow mark a couple of players or man mark someone within the midfield. Liverpool pressed, especially in the first half, very intently. They do this away from home to get pressure on the other teams, and we know how good they can be on the counter-attack, which they showed in this game as well. And straight away early on in the game, they had 2 players pressing Martinez, the Manchester United defender, to make sure that he couldn't get the ball out to anyone on the wings, and if he had to do a pass, it'd probably be to Casemiro Casemiro, who they would also pressure as well. They really limited the progression through the midfield by making sure players like Kobbie Mainoo could barely get a touch on it. This was because Gravenberch was so good on that right hand side at even shadow marking the fullback and the midfielder, or man marking one in different situations. Now at the start he did a great job to man mark Kobbie Mainoo and got an interception there, which got Liverpool in a counter-attacking chance. But then when some players change their positions to go somewhere else, Gravenberch doesn't. He always sticks that right half space, and a few moments later Manchester United tried to play the ball out to Bruno, who came deeper in that pocket, and Gravenberch is there to sniff out the danger and get Liverpool on another attack. Now this is actually where one of the goals for Liverpool comes from. Manchester United have the ball in settled possession and Liverpool are pressing them very intently. Konate actually came forward to try and press them down, and Man United passed it back and Konate is running back to try and cover Xerxes to help Van Dijk. Now at this point Liverpool are kind of stretched. Man United have two players on the wing where they could get the ball out and actually get a good chance of Xerxes, who's now in behind Konate, Van Dijk having to come over. However, with everyone on his team running backwards to try and make sure this danger doesn't happen, Casemiro gets the ball first time and does an awful pass, it has to be said, and Gravenberch sniffs out the danger and turns around. But even before Casemiro is about to kick it, you can see Gravenberch turn around and anticipate that that's going to happen, which is one of the big reasons why he's been so successful in this new role. His anticipation is incredible. And of course, if a Casemiro does a better pass, they get through here, but that's the risk that Gravenberch takes, and I think Liverpool like players that take big risks like this, because him picking the ball up in this situation gets them on a 5-on-3 in the defence of Manchester United, which ultimately they get right and Diaz ends up scoring. This wasn't the first time he kept winning the ball back in these situations. He dictated everything that went down that right hand side. It didn't matter what players were in there, what players dropped deeper to get the ball. He was always so comfortable, and he kept getting the knockdowns and the wins from players like Rashford and Mainoo, getting Liverpool forward constantly. And while he was a defensive midfielder, I think in this game he showed a lot of awareness, a lot of adaptability, and a lot of responsibility to take these risks for Liverpool, considering it's a role he's not necessarily completely comfortable with, or he wasn't before this season. Not only did he make 3 passes into the final third and made 37 out of his 44 passes overall, he obviously created incredible big chances for Liverpool, and defensively was sound. 2 out of 2 tackles, 1 clearance, 4 interceptions, 8 defensive actions and 6 recoveries. And while all that was going on, he was always fighting in the midfield. Mainoo, Casemiro and Collier, when he came on, could not put up with Gravenberch. He's the most physical one in there out of him, McAllister and Szoboszlai, and the whole time he uses his stature brilliantly to get in front of people and to win free kicks with his drive ability he has in midfield. Overall, he had 10 duels in this game and he won 7 and lost 3, and was fouled 3 times and only committed 1, so he was clearly getting his body about in the best way possible for them. And in a time where Liverpool really needed to find a solution to this defensive midfield problem because they struggled to get the players they really wanted in there, I think they genuinely have a brilliant solution in Gravenberch, who had a good season last year in many ways, but struggled to really get into the team to make much difference compared to some of the other midfielders. And also in a game where Casemiro had an absolute shocker, it was really good to see a great defensive midfield performance, but an awareness and a great midfield performance that actually allowed Liverpool to attack as well as obviously doing brilliant defending. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you think about Gravenberch's new role, and please subscribe for any more videos. See you in the next one.